afternoon to you, my brother. I hope everything is well with you. A little off to a late start, but we managed to get on stream here, and we're so happy that most of you have joined us with this afternoon's weather update. We're continuing to monitor the tropics because we're entering the peak of the hurricane season, and definitely I'm sharing my screen. And yesterday I left you with tropical depression number 7. It remains a tropical depression as of 5 p.m. this afternoon, albeit it is very close to a tropical storm right now as we speak. And the forecast track continues to suggest that it will become a tropical storm within the next 12 to 24 hours. But this is just a perspective view as to where tropical depression number 7 is located. And if I may, those of you who are interested in the coordinates, is actually 12.7 degrees north, 45.7 degrees west, and that is just about 1,200, a little over 1,200 miles east-southeast of Antigua, maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour. It's currently moving towards the west, not necessarily due west, but a little north of due west, and that general motion is expected to continue for the next 12 hours. And after that, it's forecast to take a turn towards the west to northwest, and there is where the good news really is. So in the next 12 hours, it's forecast to continue on a westward track. Let me see if I can draw that in for many of you who can see it. Right now, this is where tropical depression number 11 is located. It's forecast to continue on a westerly path, but over the next 12 to 24 hours, a weakness in the subtropical ridge will mean that it will now resume or take a west-northwesterly track. And that west-northwesterly track is certainly good news because it places the center of the system towards the northeast of Antigua and Barbuda, keeping its dangerous winds and weather conditions significantly offshore. And so in terms of relative impacts to us here in Antigua and Barbuda, if it continues on that track, then we are not necessarily anticipating much from it, right? So as of right now, it continues on a westerly path, but is expected to take a west-northwesterly heading. Here is a close-up view with respect to tropical depression number 11. And the tropical depression number 11 continues to show that it continues to have an outburst of cloudiness and the showers and thunderstorms associated with the center, meaning that maybe the shear is now slackening and the developmental trend is commencing. It is expected to continue on a westerly track for the next 12 hours or so and gradually take a west-northwesterly heading out in this general location, and it will keep most of the bad weather out in this general location. So for us here in Antigua and Barbuda right here, we will be perched on the weaker side of the system. So in terms of relative impacts, it does not seem as though right now, based upon the 5 p.m. advisory, that we will encounter any significant impacts from this particular feature. But I must say this, I must hasten to tell the residents of Antigua and Barbuda and those of you who are listening that we need to continue to monitor any motion towards could mean closer to us in Antigua and Barbuda. Monitoring this system over the next 12 to 24 hours to see when this turn takes place, because that's going to be the significant turn that we will be monitoring, and we are hoping that will carry the system out towards the northeast.
Well, that's good news. They said, usually they said no news is good news, but this time is certainly good news. Who says that God is not good and it's turning away from us again? And so we are in another season of good fortune in Antigua and Barbuda. So we're happy to hear that we'll still be following the progress of this storm. And is there any strengthening happening? Will there be any strengthening happening?
Yes, it's moving into an environment that will favor strengthening. As a matter of fact, the shear is forecast to be minimal, over the next 12 to 24 or even 48 hours with warm sea surface temperatures. This particular feature is likely to strengthen as much as 60 miles per hour. And that is expected to take place in this general location right here. But by the time it gets west of this and entering into this dome right inside here, it will encounter what we call northwesterly shear or west-northwesterly or southwesterly shear. And getting into this general environment will blow the tops off. And hence the reason why as it leave this particular favorable zone and enter into this area, the weakening trend will begin. So by the time it enters or reach in this general location, instead of 60 miles per hour here, we're looking at generally 40 miles per hour out here, because it is forecast to weaken as it enters more unfavorable weather conditions. But again, I'm hastening to tell you that we ought to be monitoring this particular system very closely, because if it does not materialize in the context of the west-northwesterly heading, right now it's doing this, in the next 12 hours it's supposed to do this. If it does not do this, but does this further and does this later, then the center can drag a little bit more closer than we are anticipating. So we are asking for residents of Antigua and Barbuda to monitor this very closely so that we can be apprised of any changes or unexpected changes that is likely to take place. But for right now, we are of a high confidence.
And we know the storms generally are unpredictable.
Yeah, which is true, which is generally true, but we are hoping that it will take that west-northwesterly turn within the next 12 to 24 hours.
So again, this afternoon, we want to thank you for bringing our weather updates, certainly informative and helpful for the persons who follow to make sure that we have the information. Should it turn into a storm within the next 12 to 24 hours, we'll do our usual 9 and also our 5 p.m. broadcast.
And by the way, I'm so happy that you're saying this. Yeah, and by the way, this is key information that is likely to be at its closest point Friday night going on into Saturday. So therefore, we're going to be watching it for the weekend. Okay, certainly. So I'll see you. Thank you again for coming on this afternoon and for giving us our weather update. We certainly appreciate it. And may God continue to bless you and your family. Have a great evening, my brother. And same to you, to my brother. God bless. Bye-bye.